All right, here we go. From the top. From the top to the bottom, bottom to top, I stop. Life has a way of not always going how we planned. There are certain scenarios in life where your path can seem so clear, and you look at what's ahead, and it just seems like this is exactly where I need to go, this is exactly what I need to do. And then what happens is you end up going down that path, and it leads to a dead end, or some kind of pitfall, or some unexpected turn that just takes you someplace where you feel lost. And all of a sudden you're left asking, how did I get here? What do I do now? I recently posted a drum performance from back in 2011, and I've got a story behind that performance about a certain time in my life where things just seemed so clear. My future seemed so certain, and it just seemed like all the pieces were falling right into place, and things didn't quite play out the way I was hoping. At the time, I would have been a teenager, and there's an event called Teen Talent. This is an event made through the Church of God by Lee University. Now, these events take place regionally in different states all over the country, and basically you can compete in different categories. There's music, art, Bible study, multimedia, whatever it might be. And there are judges who give you feedback on your performance, and they're always really good about giving constructive criticism and helping you improve in your craft. But if you happen to win in one of these events, you get a chance to go to nationals, which takes place at Lee University. And if you win that, you can get a scholarship to Lee University, and the runner-up gets half a scholarship. So I had competed before, and in the year of our Lord, so I had competed in this event before, but in 2010, that was the year I graduated. That would have been my last year to compete, and for whatever reason, the event was canceled. However, they allowed seniors who missed that year to compete next year in 2011. And I think that was actually to my benefit because there were certain skills that I was still developing that I wasn't quite ready to present yet. See, when I got into high school, that's when I was introduced to heavy metal, which I fell in love with, and it definitely helped me improve as a guitarist. But something very unique to heavy metal is the double bass drum. And for those of you who don't know what that is, basically every drum kit, there's a part of the drum kit that sits on the floor, and there's a pedal that you step on, and it's got a beater that hits that part of the drum. That's called the kick drum. And every drum set's got that, but something that is unique to heavy metal is that you get two pedals with two beaters, so you can create this really intense, like, machine gun kind of drum beat. And it just sounds really cool with heavy metal. So one day, me and my friends discovered that the drum set at our church actually has a double pedal. By the way, that's the same drum kit I'm playing in the video. But we figured this out, and we're like, dude, let's try it out. And so all my friends, we got on there, and we weren't any good at it. We didn't have the coordination or the skill. But I got on there, and I knew how to keep a basic beat, but I definitely was not a drummer. But I thought, maybe if I just go as fast as I can, maybe I can pick up on some kind of pulse, and I can just start drumming like a really simple basic beat. So that's what I tried. I just went as fast as I could with my feet, and I just tried to follow 1, 2, 3, 4. And my friends were like, hey, that's actually pretty good, that sounds good. And that's all it took to motivate me in thinking, man, I should really work at this. I could probably be a good drummer, So I started practicing. I started really trying to slow it down and really get good coordination with both my feet, and I just practiced with basic beats and really simple drum fills. But all the time that I was practicing, I didn't have a drum set at home, at least not one with a double pedal. And so I really only practiced at the church, and it was in like a room where I could kind of play by myself. No one really knew. My parents didn't even know that I was practicing drums. So what happened was, when it came time to competing in the event, this was going to be my last year, so I wanted to do as many categories as I could. Now, it does cost money for each entry, so it's not like I could just sign up for everything. But I decided that I would do a guitar solo. I got some friends together, and we formed a little band, and we did an instrumental performance as well as a vocal performance. And then I wanted to do a drum performance. And I remember my parents were like, are you sure you want to do that? Don't you want to do piano or something? And I was like, no, I think I want to try the drums. They're like, okay, So me and my friends, we started preparing, learning songs, learning our parts, and writing stuff. So we went to the event, and it ended up being a good day. My guitar solo went well, the band stuff went good, and I remember my drum performance was near the end of the day. So a lot of the other categories, they were done, and people had gathered in the auditorium. So it was a pretty big crowd that I was playing in front of. And I got up there to do my drum performance, and I remember, I had some showy stuff at the beginning, but near the end is when I really got to like the super fast double bass stuff. And I remember I got there and I'm just flying on it. And I had this really crappy cymbal stand that was like held together with duct tape. And as I'm playing, I hit it and it falls apart. But the crowd starts cheering because it's just awesome that I'm like drumming on this thing and the kit's just falling apart as I'm playing it. And I ended and I received just a really positive feedback from the audience. And that was a pretty good feeling. And I remember walking down and I saw my parents and they were just like blown away. They were like, wow, we did not know that you could play drums like that. And that was always just a really special moment for me. But later, all the categories were done and they started announcing the winners. And we did pretty well. I've actually got some trophies here. I got runner-up for the guitar solo. For the band stuff, we actually won the instrumental category, and then we got runner-up for the vocal performance. And then this is my trophy for the drum performance. I ended up winning. And it was just, I don't know, it was so surprising. It was kind of my drum debut. No one knew I could play drums, and then I come out and I end up winning, and it was like a really good feeling. And now it's sort of funny, any real drummers who are watching, I'm not a bad drummer. I think I'm a solid drummer, but compared to people who actually play drums, I'm a pretty basic metal drummer. But it was still pretty cool that I won. So because I won, that meant that me and my friends would get to go to nationals. However, something came up and my friends, they weren't able to attend. So I ended up going myself just to do the drum performance. So I started refining it. I wanted to make it better as best as it could be. So I tried to kind of tweak any parts that seemed sort of boring or add in some more complicated stuff. And I recorded a backing track for me to play along with. Now, around that time, I got to play my drum performance for my church. I played on 2 different occasions. The video I posted is the second time I played. But the first time I played, it was kind of similar to my experience at Teen Talent. No one knew that I could drum. And especially at that church, don't think a lot of them listen to heavy metal, so they just never heard that kind of drumming before. So again, when I played, it was just a really positive response. People were kind of blown away. They're like, wow, I've never heard drums played like that before. So I was feeling ready. I'd been practicing, and it came time for nationals. And I remember part of me was thinking, dude, there's no way I'm going to win this. Like, sure, I won the regional event, but now I'm going to be going against actual drummers. It's like, I knew that I was pretty basic compared to them. But I thought, I guess I was hoping that maybe I would get runner-up, or I was hoping that maybe someone would be impressed with my skills and I would get discovered and it would just like set me up for some kind of career in music. I'd get to go to the school or I'd meet the right people who would get me a record deal, and I'd start to get performing songs and playing all over. And it just seemed like such a sure thing. I just felt like this is it. The pieces are going to fall in place, and this is going to set me up for the rest of my life, and I'll live happily ever after. But that's not quite how things worked out. So I got there, and I remember when I was playing, I really had a hard time hearing my backing track, and I was really struggling to play along. And to be honest, I think that was kind of my fault. I'm pretty sure the sound guy had me cranked, and I was very new to recording and mixing, so it was probably just a really muddy mix, and it was just really hard for me to discern any kind of pulse that I could follow along with. And that was honestly the hardest part. It didn't hurt so much that I didn't win. It just hurt that I wasn't able to show my best. And I remember I got back to the room, and I didn't win. I didn't get runner-up, and I just kind of broke down. It was tough, and it felt like the rug had been pulled from under me, and I was just wondering, where do I go? What do I do now? It seemed like such a sure thing, and then for it to not happen, for the door to just shut on that, all of a sudden it was like I had to start all over and figure out, like, what am I supposed to do? But looking back, at the time, it really did hurt. But now, I think it was actually a good thing that I didn't win that competition. Because I sort of had this misconception. I always felt like I was always waiting to be discovered. I always felt like that's what's going to happen. Somebody is going to find me. Someone's going to discover me and take me the rest of the way there. Someone's going to just set everything up in motion for me to live happily ever after. But I later learned that that's just kind of not really how things work. I think we get that illusion from movies and TV shows, but I think we've seen before, even people who win those shows, they're in the spotlight for a brief moment, but they don't know how to sustain a career, so they end up just fading out. And what I've learned since then is, rather than relying on someone else to make a way for me, I need to make it myself. Like, I need to know how the business works. I need to know what it is I want, what I'm going after, and go after it myself. Stop waiting for someone to find me. And it was kind of interesting because along with being discovered, I was always looking for a guarantee, even with school. I remember any kind of school dealing with arts, like music or filmmaking, my only interest was I thought that maybe if I paid for schooling, that would be a guarantee that I would have a career. And so it was almost like I was paying my way there. And that's just not how it works. A lot of times, yeah, you'll learn stuff and they might even get you in the industry, but you might not be doing exactly what you want to do. And it's really expensive, Pretty much the best benefit you're going to get from going to those kind of schools are networking options, just people to network with who are interested in the same field that you are. But you can find that for free through the internet. You don't have to pay thousands of dollars for that. And so if I had won and got the free scholarship, like, that might have been worthwhile. That would have been cool. But even just runner-up and still having to pay all that money, I'm not sure that I really would have benefited all that much from it. And these days, especially with the way the music industry is going, I think it's actually better to be an independent artist as opposed to being a part of a record label. Because for me, doing the music you love, connecting with people who love what you're doing, and again, just being able to make a sustainable income on that, to me, that's a lot more appealing than being famous and making millions of dollars, but having to be a fake and having to put on an act of what you're doing and always having to try and stay relevant and not really being able to connect with people. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is sometimes we look back and they say the past is 2020, It's such a clear thing. But I think if you keep looking back at past opportunities, then you're going to miss the new ones that are in front of you. These experiences, they hurt, but the best thing you can do is to learn from them, to make corrections, and try again. Keep your chin up. Don't give up. If something didn't quite work out the way you were hoping, it's not the end of the world. It's not your last chance. There's always going to be another opportunity. And what you got to do is you got to learn, make those corrections, and be ready when that next opportunity presents itself. And keep trying and you'll get there. And so I hope there was something you could learn from the story, or I hope you at least found it interesting. And I hope this was an encouragement to you. But yeah, if you've had a similar experience and you want to share it in the comments section below, please do that. If you have any advice for others who are dealing with disappointment and just anything you can advise them to help them keep going and keep giving their best effort, we can just have a big old group therapy session down in the comments section. So yeah, that's all I've got for you today. Until next time.